Hello everyone, good afternoon. Welcome to Sky Update on YouTube, live stream of UTA Planetarium. My name is Levent Kürdemir, Planetarium Director, and Jim Bader, Program Coordinator, is with me in the office today. Hello, Jim.
Hey, I am here, but I am not showing up.
Where are you? I usually see you around here somewhere.
But I'm here. You're just gonna trust me, I guess, today, at least for right now. We'll work on it.
Okay. So, do you remember what we talked last time,
uh,
last week?
yeah, we talked about horoscopes
We
last week.
talked about astrology in particular, right?
Yes,
And today we'll give you a sky update and also what difference is this time is.
I'm here.
I'm glad you made it. So did you change your time already, Jim?
Changing my time.
Yeah,
I
to
not in my car. I have not changed my car
Central
time yet.
Standard Time. So last Monday we changed our clocks to adjust with the Central Standard Time.
Yeah.
And we do that twice a year, right? We switch to daylight savings time by forwarding our clocks and taking 1 hour back during winter time.
Yeah,
Or at the,
I love it in the fall. We get an hour. I got an hour extra sleep. It was incredible. But I do not look forward to the spring event. No.
Usually, by traveling frequently, 1 hour difference is not a big deal to adjust. It usually takes 1 day. But if you go to a different time zone, which is 10 hours, 9 hours different, then that is really difficult to adjust. It at least takes a week for an average person to get adjusted. But why do we adjust? So usually people asks, why do we? What's the philosophy behind daylight savings time? And what do you think, Jim?
Um I don't I mean for farmers. I think it's for farmers. That's what I'm going to say.
Yeah, one story is there were farmers who needed to run errands, and kids go to school, and if the sunrise time conflicts with that, right? That's a big problem. That's not a big problem, but that's inconvenience. And by the way, hi Lamia, good to see you again. Sorry, we were not on Facebook past Wednesday, and also we started late today. And
Mhm.
let me explain why. Because we had in-person field trips, and that conflicted with our noon time to stream. So we had to push this stream to 1 o'clock. That's why we are late today. And we were extremely busy on Wednesday, so we couldn't do the live stream. But hopefully next Wednesday we'll be back to Facebook. All right, we were talking about farmers, right? But also the main story is a little different because the daylight savings times is not a new thing. And not very old thing either. Even the Romans, we know they adjusted their time to sunrise and sunset, but their time was different. They were using actually varying hour blocks. So the length of 1 hour was not the same. They were just changing the length of hours, either narrow down or widen it. So that's why they were adapting to the daylight savings time. So this is probably one of the most flexible adjusting. But the modern daylight saving time idea first proposed by actually Benjamin Franklin.
What? Benjamin Franklin?
Exactly. He's the one who first proposed. And his idea was, and he actually has a published article about this. His idea was people could save candles if they adjust the sunset to a later time during summer. So people would use less dark time in the evening. So that would translate into use of less candles. And I don't know if there was a candle shortage in the country or uh, what was the problem with the candles, we don't know, but he wanted to save candles. But my opinion is this is not only the idea of him. I think he was also, for some reason, wanting people or preferring people go to sleep early. Because on another article, he says, early to rise and early to bed, man is healthier, wealthier, and wiser. So he had the idea that people should go to bed early and wake up early. Anyway, he proposed the idea, and it was not implemented after his proposal. But 2 years later, another astronomer from New Zealand comes and says, well, I also would like to propose the daylight saving idea, but he wants 2 hours. And why 2 hours? Do you know, Jim?
I do not, but I'm excited to learn why 2 hours.
Because he actually, after work, he wants more daylight to collect insects as hobby. So he brings up a personal reason for the entire world to use daylight saving time, and the clock would be forwarded or
All right.
reversed 2 hours.
So you mean to tell me, Levent, that we are we're doing time savings because of this guy and somebody wanted to collect some bugs?
Well, he was the one first proposed. He is not the one implemented in the United States. But he brought the idea of daylight savings time, the concept, and justification was, hey, we would use less candles. So it was actually, his proposal was in 1784. And after so many years, a few hundred years, it was not adopted by anyone in the world until 1908. In 1908, Canada, a city called Port Arthur in Ontario, was the first city to adopt daylight savings time. And later, with the World War I, the more and more countries, because it gave the idea of saving time, saving energy. The Germany, for example, with the saving coal consumption, they implemented daylight saving time, and it spread over across the Europe, the continent of Europe, and then United States finally adopted daylight savings time. But after the World War, guess what happened? After the World War, then a lot of countries actually abandoned using daylight saving time because that was to save energy, that they were concerned because there was ongoing war. And after the war, most countries abandoned the daylight saving times, but some countries didn't. For example, United States, Canada, the United Kingdom, and Ireland did not leave using daylight saving time. In the United States, we should mention that two states, Hawaii and Arizona, are not observing daylight savings time. They are not participating in that. And also in the rest of the world, we are not seeing a widespread for daylight saving time use. For example, most countries in Asia and Africa are not observing or not switching their clocks to daylight savings time. And the reason is, after long time debates, because the idea started with saving time, saving energy, even today, a lot of scientists are arguing about whether daylight saving time, conserving energy or not. It's a big debate. I have no clue which side might be right or wrong, because people's habits and energy use are changing, not depending on the time, but many other factors in the environment. So it is probably very difficult to present a good set of data whether the daylight saving time is conserving energy or not conserving energy. But one thing I like personally is When I wake up in the morning to get ready for the day, I like seeing a little bit sunlight. The sun, if not on the horizon, it is about to rise, rather than it is pretty dark outside that I can see even stars. So,
Well, I think we can all appreciate the idea of that. So, I mean, darkness is not fun.
mhm,
But I sure don't like getting an hour taken away
mhm,
from me once a year,
yeah.
Levent. Not a fan.
There was more issues in the past. For example, a lot of people use the reason to come to work or school late, and because they said, really, I forgot to, adjust my clock. That's why I was late. And but nowadays, there is not that problem. Is not the problem is disappeared, because the thing is, the devices we use, especially most people are keeping the clock from their cell phones, and cell phones are um, getting the time information from the network. So based on their precise location, the clocks are adjusted automatically. So you cannot go wrong with cell phone clock. And it is even precise to the second. And also computers do the same. The smartwatches apparently do the same. And maybe old style watches like mine, for example, it is all manually adjusted. There is no network information coming into that. This clock maybe fool you. But the thing is, how many times I'm just a habit of wearing this, but how many times I'm looking at it, I don't even know. I'm usually using my cell phone.
The future. The future.
And time for sky update. Because we adjusted our clocks, now we can enjoy the time, the night earlier. Because
I didn't think about that. That's actually a really good point, Levent. We changed time so that people have more time to view the night sky.
exactly, because sun
I
sets
like
at
that.
5:30. It was before the time change. It was 6:30. Now it is 5:30. It's dark, so you have longer time to watch the night sky. And all right, so we'll do sky update after answering this question. If that's a question I didn't look, but it was
Yeah.
hard for me, Lamia says, to adjust waking up. Luckily, it was stopped. I got the normal suffer in waking up or waking up. Sorry. Yes, that's a problem sometimes. But what you can do is uh, like if you know that the clock is going to change, and you think that you sleep 1 hour less, so it is, one easy thing you can do. Apparently, you can go to bed 1 hour early. uh, Good luck if you can fall asleep, because our body needs just some time to adjust, but this is something you can do. Another thing is, there's a magic trick that I learned from someone, especially for travelers, travel frequent enough between the time zones. So to adjust their body, you need to use either a sunrise or sunset. Sunset is easier usually most of the time. Let's see, you would like to adjust your body clock or brain clock to the actual time you are in. Um, Go and take a walk at sunset. Visually confirm the set of the sun. Magically, I didn't believe that trick, but it works, because I traveled around the world quite often. Last place was I went to uh, um, Iceland, and at the time I was there, the sun, didn't set, so that was like continuously 24-hour daytime. It
How do
was
you how do you
interesting.
adjust to that, Levent? I mean, you can't watch the sunset at all.
That was very interesting. This was the first time I was near the Arctic Circle, and literally you don't notice the time, because the life is like, it is not like quieting down in the evening time by your clock. The places are, the shopping centers are open pretty much 24 hours. You can go and find people who are walking on the streets, and doing all kinds of things. But it's weird. Like, I have a picture of myself at when the local clock is showing midnight, 12 p.m. And I have like sunglasses on my face. So it's amazing. And you just go to bed by the clock. You are looking at your clock. It's a bedtime. I need to go to sleep. And you wake up the same way. You just set your alarm. You just make yourself a sleeping schedule, because it's interesting that I didn't feel like sleepy because the sun is still in the sky. Body thinks, hey, no, it's not nighttime yet. It's not the time for sleep. It's interesting. I didn't feel sleepy. I had to go to bed at a set schedule that I set myself. All right, here's the sky update. At 5:30, sun goes down, fortunately, in Arlington, Texas, or the same if you are in anywhere in DFW Metroplex. And you are looking at a beauty in the sky, and that is, here is the moon in the sky, the most noticeable object because it is the brightest thing when it is up in the sky. It is reflecting sunlight. The moon is not making any light for anything. It is reflecting the sunlight, but because its surface area is bigger than anything else in the sky, it appears the brightest thing. So you cannot miss that. And the moon is showing us faces. Which face is this? If we ask our audience, anybody is listening on the channel, they can maybe tell me what is the face of the moon. It's the fifth grade stuff.
We can let them answer as we move on.
Okay, I'm not gonna tell the answer. I'm looking for answers from our viewers and maybe post viewers after the stream is fully on YouTube. And here is the brightest planet in the sky tonight, and that is not the brightest planet, right? The brightest planet is Venus. So this is the largest planet. The brightest planet is over here. So Venus. Let's talk about Venus first because it looks similar to the moon. It is showing us faces. So a lot of people asks most of the time, how come we see faces on Venus, like faces on the moon, but we don't see faces on Jupiter and Saturn? By faces, I don't mean like human face, right? The phase, like the shadow and the bright areas. Because the Venus is an inner planet. So that is important to find out whether we are going to see phases or not phases on the planets. We see phases on inner planets. So is the moon an inner planet? Here is Astronomy 101 with Planetarium Director. Why do we see moon phases on the moon? Is it an inner planet?
It can be.
It can be, right? I mean, half of the month, it is inner planet or considered inner, and half of the time it is on the outer side. So when it is on the outer side, we see gibbous faces, right?
It does look like Lamia commented first quarter.
First quarter. You are close. And I would accept that answer because the right side is illuminated in the sky. It is telling me it's the first quarter, but it's actually a little bit past first quarter. So we call this phase, to be exact, waxing gibbous. It is still waxing, okay? It's gonna fill up the entire thing, and it's gonna be full nearly in less than 1 week. And here is Venus. We need to think about why we are seeing faces. How come we see a dark side on Venus? And that's because Venus is an inner planet. And when we look at the configuration of planets, when the planets are on the inner side, well, we need to think that the sun is coming from this direction, it already said, and illuminating that side. And because it is an inner planet and we are on the outside, respect the sun, we are able to see its dark side. Our perspective allows looking at the planets dark side because dark side is farther from the sun. So this will become apparent when we talk about Jupiter. For example, here, let's take a look at it. When we look at Jupiter with a telescope, we are here. The other planets also show faces, but only like more than 90% gibbous faces. So all very tiny corner or side will go into dark, and we will not be able to notice that anyway. Why we don't see the faces like Venus on Jupiter or other planets? Because they are outer to us. We never get to see the dark side, which is away from the sun, is not visible. We have to go around Jupiter to be able to see it, but we never get to go around Jupiter or any other planet. So that's why there is no like a quarter face or similar faces with other planets. I hope this explains. Here is the largest planet of the solar system. It is visible in the sky near the moon. It is a great thing to look at if you have a pair of binocular or small telescope is going to work. And here is another planet, one of my favorite astronomical point of interest in the sky, and that is Saturn. Saturn is a ringed world planet. It is the second largest, but it features a ring system around it. Well, actually, Jupiter and other gas giant planets do have rings, but their rings are tiny. We were not aware of those rings until we launched spacecraft like Voyagers and Pioneers. And this one, the rings are visible even if you use a small telescope. Cheap grocery store telescope even shows you the rings because the ring system is very bright and very large. So planets in the sky, if you take a look, and I will likely make some connection to the last week's topic, let's shrink Saturn in the sky. Where's Venus? Where did Venus go? It was somewhere around here. Mm-hmm. If you look at it, so Venus over here, right? And Saturn, Jupiter, and Moon. Pretty much they seem like they are on a line in the sky. Now, when you see in the sky, that line will be more appear. It's not a straight line. It is pretty much like you are drawing an arc in the sky, but actually it will look like pretty much like a straight line in the real sky. So this is not a coincidence. And this actually became very important for since the start of astronomy to the scientists, and they called it ecliptic. Ecliptic is the path of the solar system, the plane of the solar system. You know, in the solar system, when we look at the solar system from outside, we do not see the sun and planets like spread it all around. They look like they are on a uniform plane. And this is what we call ecliptic. You can see this line, and everything in the solar system, including asteroids, comets, planets, and the moons, you will find on the same line. And if you remember from our last video, on that line, ecliptic line, there are 12 constellations, actually 13, but I don't want to go into that officious story. The 12 constellations that set the base for our modern calendar. That's why we have 12 months in 1 year. All right, so let's see if you have any questions. And any question from you, Jim?
Yeah, I have a question.
Yes.
What about we have a kind of important event coming up next Friday. That's going to be a little bit astronomically exciting, very late at night, but the lunar eclipse. Do you want to talk about that at all? A little bit?
Well, maybe we can leave it for next week and talk about eclipses in general. Yes, as Jim mentioned, there's an important event coming up, lunar eclipse, and during lunar eclipses, some lunar eclipses are exciting and some are not. Yeah. We can talk about that, why some lunar eclipses not as great as some others. That depends on a lot of things. So we'll talk about it. And also another event that is important, and it is going on nowadays, is the Leonids meteor shower.
Yeah.
So when you look in the sky, especially after 2 a.m. in the morning, you may see some shooting stars, and those are, if you did, those are part of Leonid meteor showers. So because moon is up in the sky, usually sky is well lit, and it is not great time to look at meteor showers, but these Leonids will be going on at least for the next week and a half.
Yeah, easily through the 30th. I think it's supposed to peak like on Tuesday,
Uh-huh.
the 16th. I'm looking at the calendar right now. Tuesday, Tuesday 6th. So Tuesday or Wednesday, it says it should peak. But yeah,
All right.
have a
So we'll see you next week then with uh, topic on lunar eclipses or eclipses in general. We can potentially introduce the solar eclipse too. And like always, if you have any questions or anything that you would like us to discuss, put it on the comments, and
yeah.
I
We
will get back to you.
we just got a comment from Lamia that says
Yes. I always have a problem spotting Hercules constellation. They say it looks like the letter K, but never see a K. Is there any advice to watch this?
I've never heard that before, but now that I think about it, it kind of does look like a K.
Well, if you can highlight the Hercules constellation to us, it is little difficult to find actually. But the constellations, because it's the imagination, and with a lot of constellations actually, if you can stop Jim over here, there's a good example. Sometimes I don't see what it is described in the sky charts anyway. And my perfect example is this. Every time I find this constellation, and this is Sagittarius, it looks like a teapot to me. But it's actually a centaur, half horse, half man. I don't see neither of them over here when especially when I look in the sky, but I just go with teapot. So it may not look like, of course, you don't see this in the sky. And if you did, you have a problem. You have to go and see your doctor. If some like horses and man's appearing in the sky, that's not a good sign. But Hercules constellation is over here. Does it look like a letter K? I don't know. I never heard of it either.
I mean, now that I'm lighting it up, maybe it's just your perspective on it, but I can kind of imagine a K to some extent. It's a mess. Hercules is a disaster.
Yeah.
To find.
Yeah, and it is hard to find too. It is not any one of the easy constellations.
Most people just look for the keystone, which we can light up there.
Yeah.
That's what most people see is just the red area.
Uh-huh. And is it it is connected to, no, it was Pegasus.
So, Andromeda and Pegasus, right above them.
Yeah, I mean, you usually you can use a star chart. Nowadays, there's a good trick actually. There are apps that you hold on the sky and it tells you what constellation or what star, what object you are looking at. They are great. I see a lot of people are using. We astronomers, especially the both professional and amateur astronomers, what we did was in the past star hopping. So we start with a constellation that we can easily recognize. For example, Big Dipper, and then just move on, just hop from one star to another to find other constellations or stars. So that was a good trick, but that required, knowledge and practice. But nowadays, people just hold their phones, and here you go. They tell me what object is this? What object they are looking at. And even this is useful if you are, I found I saw some people, they are attaching their phones on telescopes, and they are using it to point their telescopes precisely. They are just aligning their camera of the phone and the telescope itself, and they are just pointing their phones, and phone shows what object is located in that direction, and they are looking at the telescope and see the real one. So that's a pretty cool trick you can use always.
Sounds like cheating. They got to learn how to use the machine.
Yes.
I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
So are we here next week, Jim?
Yeah, I think so. What's
Facebook 1 o'clock and
Yes.
YouTube at noon, and we'll give notice if anything changes.
Definitely. All right. Well,
All right. See you next week.